Hello everyone, this is Brian from Brian Tech. Welcome back. In today's video, you'll learn how to migrate from TFS, stand for Team Foundation Server, to GitHub or anything Git based. So first let's talk about what is Team Foundation Server, also shortly called as TFS. Team Foundation Server was a version control system which allows store code and collaborate, released by Microsoft back in 2006 as an on-prem that's installed as it is a server as a server edition. Later, when Azure DevOps, which is a product by Microsoft, launched, it got combined with Azure DevOps on-prem server and get rebranded, and also later available to ADO Cloud Service. TFS still supported through ADO, but ADO also support Git based, which are preferred. But what about GitHub? GitHub is a very popular internet collaboration platform based in Git, and it has a wealth of features like GitHub Action, GitHub Codespace, GitHub Copilot, etc. GitHub is used by more than millions of developers around the world. So you don't have to use GitHub to put in destination side. You can migrate things to other like GitLab or Bitbucket, but in this case, we're going to show that GitHub as a final destination. Here are some prerequisites to be aware of. You do need to have a Windows operating system to perform, because the tool we're going to use called git-tfs does require the installation through binary file exe. So that's one requirement. And of course, you want to migrate from the TFS, so you do need to have a Team Foundation server, which can be available through Azure DevOps or whatever, right? Where it says it is TFS. And you do need the Visual Studio ID install. This is required, otherwise you get the error message for the library conflict. And then you do need to install git CLI, which is required for git-tfs. And you do need to have a GitHub account with permissions. We'll show you how to do that, but make sure that you have a GitHub account with the right permission. And then git-tfs does require installation, something called Chocolate T. It's like a package manager. If ever you use the Mac OS, you might encounter Homebrew, or if you use Linux, like it's like a Yum or apt-get, so you can think in a similar way. And lastly, we do need a git-tfs installation, and you'll learn how to do that. So here's my Windows machine, and then you will learn what you have to install and download and install, etc. Very first thing you want to download is git CLI. So by default, Windows doesn't come with it, so you want to go to git-scm.com/download. The URL can change just to make sure that maybe you Google or Bing search or whatever and go to search for git CLI, and you'll come to the download page somewhere in the menu like this. Make sure that you select Windows and then or download the thing for Windows. Be sure to automatically show you what you have to download for your operating system. That's the first one. Next thing you want to go to search for git-tfs. So here is a website for git-tfs, and then github.com/git-tfs/git-tfs twice. So this is the library or the things you want to install. It gives instruction on what are some of the prerequisites. It doesn't mention that, but git CLI is required. So you do need to download this binary on the page, right? So you can go there and then you can go and install the TFS zip file, and then you can place on your your computer, right? And then you have to use a Chocolate T. So actually there's two ways to install. We can use a git-tfs, or you can use the binary as it is. Either way, just to make sure that whichever way you install, you just to go with the right one. If you go with the Chocolate T, you have to go there, the website, and then you go to install, and then you have to open the PowerShell window, and then run this option. And then you do need to install Visual Studio IDE because otherwise you will see conflict. You go to you see that my Visual Studio 22 install. It's not required to learn from there, but it has a library to work with the git-tfs. So just you go search for Visual Studio, IDE download, and then you can go there and then go download and install that and go through the installation process. So that's for that. And once you have done that, what you can do is that you can open up the git and then git bash, and then when you do type git-tfs, you should see an option like this. Then you're ready to go. So here I have Azure DevOps on-prem server. Azure DevOps comes in two flavors, cloud and on-prem server. So if you use either one, it doesn't matter. The process will be similar from the migration perspective. But Azure DevOps, is important to know that Azure DevOps support two different types of version control system. One is Git based, and other one is a TFS based, Team Foundation Server. So here you're seeing that simple TFS repository that contains the files and folders and etc. And so it has some commit history and other things there, which is good for demonstration purpose. Nothing complicated. So we're going to migrate this to GitHub, but it can be technically be in other Git based source control, but we're going to migrate this to the Git base or GitHub for our case. So let's start from there. So this assumes that you met all the prerequisites you have followed before. So here's my folder. I created the new folder called migrations, and then this is where I'm going to perform the migrations. So you need to get the path later, so you can copy and paste. And I install, by following the prerequisite, I install the git bash git, and git bash came with it. So I'm going to navigate there by clicking the left bottom window button and then find the git and then click git bash. And let me see if I can zoom in further. Actually, there you go. So first thing is that you need to execute the command. So I want to export the variable. So first thing is I'm going to export tfs URL. And then I can grab this by going here. I'm going to copy up to the point here, up to the collection name. And I'm gonna paste that. It has some erroneous characters, so I'm going to remove that. And I'm going to also get the project name, so which is gonna be sample project, but I'm just gonna copy it and then try to paste. There you go. So now I need to execute the command. So this is a command that we're going to learn. You can pass different options, but it's important to know what is you have to add this things in the variable called msys underscore no underscore path path and conv equals 1 or uppercase. Make sure you get this right, because otherwise you will have a trouble with the SK character. So this is a reason why you want to pass in for this. And then you do the git-tfs clone, and then tfs URL, and then project name, the project. So also it's very important to get this things right. It's a slash, right slash, and then the dollar sign and left slash, and then dollars project or variable, putting in parentheses double quotation, and you can give an option for branches or whatever. I'm going to just leave it as it is. There are going to be different options you can provide it, but I'm just going to leave it as it is by default. So what this will do, and then if I want to do this though, I want to make sure to go into the repository. So I'm going to perform this by copying this up to here, copying this. Okay, I'm going to, so what this will do, it will try to grab from the TFS and then convert to Git base, right? Because the TFS store very differently from the Git, so it's going to perform the Git base transaction and then convert to Git SHA. So now if I go do ls and cd into the project, so let me clean up and go there. Now if I do ls-ala, you can see the git git, which is indicate this is a git base here, you know, git base, the directory, and then I can do git log, which you can see the history of the, you know, git, right? Cool. And right now I only have a you know, one branch, but if you have a provide different option and other branches, you can have more branches there. So now that's it for the putting in the copying and converting TFS and putting to your local as Git. Now we can move on to pushing to GitHub repository. Okay, so here's my organization where I want to import into. Although it can be your personal repository, I'm just going to use organization. I have a one, you know, repository I've used before. I'm going to leave it as it is. I'm just going to create a new repository. And then the name can be anything you want, but I'm going to just name as a simple project and then say the repository that was imported from the TFS. And then after that, you don't want to add a readme file, just leave it as it is. And then you already have that. So this is the URL, we definitely need that. But first thing is we do need to have a, you know, person as token created. I'm going to use the one that I used before, but I'm just want to show the process. So first thing is that make sure that you go to your profile and then click that top right corner once you logged in, and you want to go to settings, right? Then which will take you to this screen. I'm going to scroll to the bottom and go to developer settings, person as token, and I'm going to generate new token. You have two options, but I'm going to use whatever that, you know, classic, really doesn't matter. I'm going to call this migration token new demo, and then you just need to select the workflow, right? Now this is, then you can copy this. I'm going to use the one that I used earlier, but you know, but either way. So, and if you're behind, if you're using organization, it's behind the single sign-on, make sure you configure SSO and click authorize it. And here is my git bash, and I'm going to do, you know, make sure that I don't have, I'm in the right, you know, the git directory. And then if I do git remote -v, it doesn't show anything. I'm going to do git remote add origin https x-access token. That can be your username too, but I'm going to use that. And I'm going to use the token that I created earlier because I have a hard time copying and pasting it from Windows machine. Does not allow me to easily, so I'm going to use that. Okay, let's see, let me try again. Okay, so there you go. And I'm going to use, so if I go back here, I want to copy up to the point here. So you want to copy that from the github.com to there. Again, I'm going to use that thing I copied earlier because it's easier to copy and paste it. Or I can just type it manually. There you go. So now if I do this, now you'll see they've done, you know, pasting that. Then I'm going to just to git push, which will show the option. So I'm just gonna type that master, and that's done. So now you can see from here, you can see the history and all the files, etc. Right? What we will not do is that it will copy pull requests and other things. So for these things, you need a separate API. For the Git base, it will export, but the TFS is not gonna do. So that's it.